Well, Kevin Spacey in L.A. Confidential, there's one of these images that seems to symbolize or sum up the whole film. You're in front of a theater marquee. When worlds collide, you're pulling a pinch on a couple of young starlets and actors, and there are television or photographers' cameras popping away at you while you make the pinch. That's who you are. You're a media person, and you're a cop as well. Let's talk about this. Is this sort of something new in journalism, maybe, and in law enforcement?
Well, I think this film sort of goes back to a time when the beginning of a relationship between the police and the press started, certainly in Hollywood. There was a sort of marriage there. The cop that I played, Jack Vincennes, is actually based on the policeman who arrested Robert Mitchum for pot. Actually, that's referred to in the movie. So yeah, it was sort of the beginning of something that's gone on for a long time.
Have you had a chance to look at some of the tabloids that were emerging in the 50s?
Yeah, we had a few of them around. It was amusing.
And Badge of Honor is obviously based on
Dragnet.
Yeah,
sure.
Now, for those who don't remember, of course, that was the Jack Webb television series in the 50s. Now, you are a technical advisor on this thing, so again, you're a showman in a way.
Yeah. And I think that the thing that I liked so much about the character was that what you just mentioned is all on the surface of this individual, and there's a certain swagger and bravado and ring-a-ding attitude to this man. But I also think that audiences sense, and I certainly did in reading the script for the first time, that there's also an uncomfortableness, an unsettled feeling and quality about the very nature of what this guy does. And what I was just so attracted to play was this evolution of this character growing a conscience.
Your mention of the term ring-a-ding seems apt, because I understand there was a Dean Martin persona that was at the back of all this?
Yeah, when I sat down with Curtis for the first time and I asked him, if it was 1952 and you were directing this movie, who would you cast? And Curtis thought for a minute and he said, Dean Martin. So I went and looked at some of Martin's films, and in fact the very quality that we just spoke about, I found there. I found a reticence in that there was an effort to that, a devil-may-care attitude in those films. There was a kind of, he was playing characters that had reached a kind of tiredness about it, and we thought that was a good quality to bring to Jack, to Big V. And plus, Dean Martin is on the soundtrack quite a bit, so.
Right. Take us on location now. You're recreating a 50s L.A. As far as you know, did they have to try very hard, or is there a lot of it still there?
There's an enormous amount of architecture. Some of it's been preserved quite beautifully, but there's also a great deal of it that hasn't been preserved in the way that it should, hasn't been landmarked in the way that it should. But there's some extraordinary homes and deco buildings, and we got to shoot in quite a few of them. And in fact, when I looked at the film recently, I was really astounded how you just really believe that it's 1950. They did a miraculous job in sort of being able to block off streets and get all those cars moving, and yet the thing that I'm, I guess, most proud of is that it's not a film that gets bogged down in those elements. It's easy sometimes for a film that deals in this genre to become about the costumes or the cars, but this is really a film that concentrates on character.
And as far as you are concerned, your characters range from Eugene O'Neill to Athol Fugard, I mean, on screen, of course, as well. You're like a chameleon, it would seem to me. Is that on the whole good or bad as far as you're concerned?
I think it's great. I mean, I'm very delighted at being able to play a variety of different roles and keep sort of reinventing myself. It's great fun to do.
What's on tap now? What's up?
I will do a film next with Sam Jackson called The Negotiator, and then I'll go to London and do a play, a Eugene O'Neill play, in fact.
There you go.
There you go.
And in the meantime, maybe another episode of Badge of Honor. Pleasure to meet you, Kevin Spacey. Of course, we're talking about L.A. Confidential, and I'm John Tibbetts for KCTV5 in Toronto.